as a product manager, that's probably my favorite thing out of today's webinar. That's like everything we're doing is that vanity metrics can just kill a product because you think you're doing so well. Yeah, nothing really moved because you're tracking likes, and the likes have nothing to do with everything else.
Right.
No, this is so great, you guys. I think we have a bunch of questions that are coming in from the audience, and we got earlier, so I'm going to move into that. But the last question I want to ask is like, being a founder kind of sucks, for the lack of a better word, right? There's just so much that's happening all the time. How do you do it? Like, what is your personal philosophy of like going down this road, and how did it change versus who you were when you started and what you wanted to become and now who you are? Like, how do you manage it all?
I'm not, I literally think something is wrong with me to do this a third time. Like, I'm totally insane. I feel like, I went to Michigan and I was the kid who you saw on the golf course selling t-shirts before the game. You know, I just sort of always like this stuff. But it is hard. It is really, I am not a good sleeper. I used to think it was a curse, and now I think I'm really lucky. But for us, it is, I think systems get a bad rap. People think systems create bureaucracy. For us, I think systems makes everybody's job easier. So we are maniacal about our systems, and that really helps us. I mean, Joe, you mentioned scale earlier. It helps us both be personal and have a fun culture, because for us, if we're going to work this hard, we might as well have as much fun as we can while we do it, but also be purposeful and build to scale. So for us, the difference in the systems we had in place at Moose Jaw and CrowdRise and at Zach is it's 180 degrees. We're so much better at it now. And if we didn't have those systems in place and weren't so relentless about it, it would fall apart.
Yeah, for me, it's knowing the work we're doing and the blood, sweat, and tears is making a difference in the world. Or I candidly would have quit a few times now. So, you know, there's powering through the days because of what you're doing, and others are counting on you, and you're just all in on it. But the other side of it is like, I've gotten much better about my mental health and really prioritizing me and taking those timeouts and not feeling guilty. My son and I, we skied in Utah this past weekend, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I was present with him. And yes, I checked the emails at night and text and did all that. But at the end of the day, like, what are we doing this for, right? And if we can't enjoy the journey while it's happening, I don't know when this is going to end and how, right? Mm-hmm. So I just think it's so hard when you have other people's money and you bump into people whose money you have, and I must be working every 5 seconds. But the reality is, if you don't stop and take a break and you know, take care of you, it's not good for you or the business. So that was a massive lesson, going from these guilts of like, I need to work every second, to now I need to take these timeouts or I'm not going to be a good performer. The part two that many people could probably relate to in entrepreneurship is getting out of your house if you work out of your house. That has been really a challenge for me. I am a people person. I like being around people. I like being in offices. I don't have that. And I find myself getting a little stir crazy and separating, you know, my life and my work. I got to get up and go out. I got to go for a walk. I got to do something to just get me out of this zone. And I think that's really healthy.
That's amazing. I am also a people person. And I feel like the thing that really like affected me when I was doing it was just like the lack of social interaction outside the same three people. Maybe Robert can understand. It's like, I'm so sick of seeing my co-founders' faces. It almost convinced me, like I would just set up calls with customers just to not have to talk to my co-founders.
Yeah, that's funny.
Any last pieces of advice that you would give founders that are like really in the thick of things, of like things that they can adopt, rituals that they should do, just to kind of like keep it together?
Joe, you want to go?
I can share a few. I mean, and I will show them love because they are such a part of our team. You need a good product team. if you're in the
Mhm.
product space. And Mean Guppy, who is up out of Buffalo, has been incredible, because I hear the war stories, and there's a lot of unnecessary stress and pressures that get put on there, and they've been incredible, and I think have given me a peace of mind, because that's not my area of expertise. That I know I got some badass people behind me that are going to help me make smart business decisions. So just from the business side, I think if you're in product and you're in tech, make sure you got good, solid people you trust, and really have your best interest at heart. From just an overall health and wellness perspective, I just think the we do have less time with our families. It's just the nature of the beast. Make sure you're present when you are, and shut off that motor for a little bit, and enjoy those times and enjoy those moments, because it really becomes all consuming, and it could break you. And I have self-admittedly cried myself to sleep more than once, because I was letting it break me, and now I control that. And now that I have the control, it's making me better at my job. It's making me better with my team, I believe. It's making me better as a husband and a father. So finding that balance, I think, is critical.
I'll give. So we've had the same 5 rules at all 3 of our companies, and I think it works well for us. The first one is no sorries. So we know we're going really fast, and we're fine failing. We don't want to fail twice or 3 times, but we understand that's part of the business. So literally, if someone is on Slack at our company and says sorry about something, 20 people will chime back in saying no sorries, right? The next one is no yawning. So again, this whole idea of going fast, and we'll drink a lot of espresso and coffee at Zach. The next one is do what you say you're going to do. So we have a very collaborative environment, and people set their own deadlines, but that's really important for us. It's really hard to run a business if people don't do what they say they're going to do. Then speed, which I mentioned at now we're a virtual company, but our prior 2 companies, there was just speed with like 30 E's on one wall. And lastly, have as much fun as you possibly can. So those are our 5 rules.
That's amazing, you guys. Well, we have a lot of questions that have come in. I'm going to try to bucket these in different categories. Maybe let's just start with investors. The first question that kind of came in around investors is like, how do you find your first investor? Do cold DMs work? This is actually a very popular one.
I'm going hard no.
Okay.
I'm personally going hard no. It did not work for me. Could be how I didn't write the best email, could be how I approached it, who I reached out to, but I would highly, highly, highly recommend warm intros, whatever that takes.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, someone once said to us, and I might not have this exactly right, but if you want advice, ask for money, and if you want money, ask for advice. And so that also might be a good path forward.
Was that Pitbull?
I was just going to say the same thing.
Maybe it was. Could have been.
Oh, I love it. I would love for Pitbull to invest in me.